Dear students, welcome to the next lecture on the signals and systems. Now we are going to continue from where we had left in the last lecture. In the last lecture, we have discussed the energy and power signals, and now we will solve some numericals based on the based on the energy and power signals. But before we move on to the numerical analysis of the energy and power signals and then complete our discussion by discussing the even and odd signal. So before prior to that, we want to discuss some singularity functions. Now these are some special functions which are very frequently used in the signals and systems. So first we will discuss these so that we have an understanding of these different signals. These are also some special type of signals, and the reason why they are called the singularity function is that they have a singularity point. Singularity is a point at which a function does not possess a derivative. So there are three singularity functions: the unit step function, the unit ramp function, and the unit impulse function. So one by one we are going to discuss all these three types of signals. So in the unit step signal, you can see that a continuous time unit step signal can be represented as ut equals to 1 for t greater than equal to 0, and it will be 0 for t less than 0. That is, it is defined only for positive values of time, and the graph of ut can be seen that it is having the positive constant value of 1. That is why it is called unit step function. The magnitude is unity, and it is having the unity amplitude at values at the positive values of time. So similarly to the continuous time unit step signal, we can have the discrete time signal as well, which is represented by un. So it will have the positive constant values for n greater than equal to 0, and for n less than 0 the signal will be 0. So that is the meaning of the unit step function. It is only defined for positive instants of time. For negative time it is 0. That is unit step function. Next is unit ramp function. So unit ramp function is represented by rt, small rt. Rt equals to t times ut, where ut is the unit step function. So it will be equal to t for t greater than equal to 0, and it will be 0 for t less than 0. So the graph of this rt will generally be a straight line passing through origin, similar to the graph of x equals to y, if you remember through your previous mathematics knowledge. So the rt will be equal to t. So this graph will something like this, in a straight line passing through the origin. That will be the continuous time unit ramp function. And similarly for the discrete time ramp function, the amplitude is defined at the discrete instants of time. So you can see the amplitude to be increasing at the successive time instants. Then we move on to the unit impulse function. So the continuous time unit impulse function is also known as the Dirac delta function, and it is represented by delta t. So delta t is 0 for t not equal to 0, that is for all the values of t other than 0, the impulse function is 0. And one more thing is integral minus infinity to infinity delta t dt equals to 1. That means the area under the unit impulse function is 1. So this is the main meaning of this unit impulse function. The unit impulse can also be regarded as a rectangular pulse with a width that has become infinitesimally small and a height that has become infinitely large, and an overall area that has been maintained at unity. So that is the main meaning of the unit impulse function. So it is only defined at t equals to 0. So at t equals to 0, that will be 1, its amplitude will be 1, and at all the other values of t, the amplitude will be 0. Now this unit impulse function have some specific properties which we'll discuss. The first property is the shifting property. So in this property you can see integral t1 to t2 xt delta t minus t naught dt, that will be equal to x of t naught if this t naught is within the limits of t1 and t2, and if this t naught is not in the limits of t1 and t2, then this signal will be 0. So this is the shifting property of the impulse function. So the t naught is actually the location at which the impulse is located. So if this t naught is in between t1 and t2, then the signal will have the value at the location at which the impulse is located, xt naught. Second property is the scaling property. Delta at equals to 1 over mod a delta t. So a is any positive number, constant number. So next property is delta minus t equals to delta t. So if you replace the variable t with the minus t, that will have no effect on this impulse signal. Next property is the sampling or multiplication property. So xt delta t will be equal to xt at t equals to 0 into delta t. So that means multiplying the signal xt by a unit impulse samples the value of the signal at the point at which the impulse is located. So that is the meaning of this sampling property. So we'll often use these properties of unit impulse function in solving numericals. So those properties will be helpful to you to solve the numericals. Now similar to the continuous time signal, continuous time unit impulse function, the discrete time impulse function also have some property. Delta kn will be equal to delta n, that means where k is an integer. So if you multiply it by a variable n, that will be unchanged. Second property is delta n equals to un minus un minus 1. So that means un represent the discrete time unit step signal. So this impulse signal can also be derived from the unit step signal. Now since we have finished the different singularity functions, now we come back to our original discussion. We were actually discussing the energy and power signals. So we want now to solve some numerical problems based on energy and power signals. So the first question is, signal is given as xt equals to e raised to the power minus 2t ut. We have to determine the values of power and energy px and ex. Now to start solving the problem, you know the relation of calculating the energy which we had discussed in the last lecture. Energy will be equal to integral minus infinity to infinity x1t square dt, that will be equal to e raised to the power minus 4t dt, and that will be equal to 1 by 4. Now one important thing is that since the unit step signal is associated with it, so the limits will be modified to 0 to infinity, that is the lower limit will be changed to 0, because unit step signal will be defined only for values greater than 0. So for values of time less than 0, unit step signal is 0, so that will make the overall signal 0 in the negative part. So only positive time values will be taken, that is why the limit is becoming 0 to infinity. So the value of energy is coming out to be 1 upon 4. Now if you calculate the power, so obviously now you apply the formula for power. Under the limit t tends to infinite, 1 upon t limits minus t by 2 to t by 2 x1t square dt. So again, if you solve this integral, this is a simple integral, you can solve it by your previous knowledge of mathematics, this will come out to be 0. So now what you infer from here is that the energy of this signal is coming out to be 1 upon 4 and power is 0. That means the energy is finite and power is 0. So this signal is coming in the category of an energy signal. So that is what we have learned from the last lecture, that for an energy signal, the value of energy will be a finite value and the value of power will be equal to 0. So now coming on to the next problem, the signal is xt equals to a cos t, where this capital A represents the amplitude of the signal. Now again you have to calculate both energy and power of the signal, and then you have to determine that whether this signal is coming out to be energy signal or power signal. So you can tell that it is an energy or power signal only when you will calculate the values for energy and power. So again you start the calculations for obtaining the energy of the signal. So energy will be minus infinity to infinity xt square dt, and just put the value of xt in this expression, so that will become a square cos square t dt. So if you solve the integral, the value of energy will come out to be infinite, and similarly when you solve for power, power will be equal to limit t tends to infinite 1 upon t minus t by 2 to t by 2 a square cos square t dt. So power will come out to be a square by 2. So now for this signal, the energy is coming out to be infinite, but power is coming out to be a finite value. That is, its value is in between 0 to infinity. So this signal will come under the category of a power signal. So we have seen that when we have calculated the values of energy and power, so energy comes out to be infinite, power comes out to be a square by 2. Then we just applied the knowledge of the energy and power signals to it. That is, whenever the power will be a finite value, energy will be infinite, that will become a power signal. Now one more problem based on energy and power signals. The next signal is a ramp signal. So we had just discussed the ramp signal just a short while ago in the same lecture, which we are xt equals to rt tut, rt equals to tut. So this is already defined previously, that ramp signal is defined for values greater than equal to 0. So ramp signal rt will be equal to t. So that is already defined previously also, but it is also given in the problem. So you start solving it. The energy will come out to be xt square dt minus infinity to infinity So again, since unit step signal is associated with it, the lower limit will become as 0. So 0 to infinite t square dt, the energy will come out to be infinite. Similarly, for calculating the power, you can see that power is under the limit t tends to infinite 1 upon t minus t by 2 to t by 2 xt square dt. So power will also come out to be infinity. Now, since both the values are infinity, this signal will neither be an energy signal nor it is a power signal. So now we have seen all the three examples. Like the first example, the signal was energy signal. In the second example, the signal was power signal. And in this third example, the signal is neither energy nor power signal. So this is what we have discussed in the previous lecture, that it is also possible that a signal is neither energy nor power signal. So this is the example for it. Okay. Now the next and last classification of the signals, which are even and odd signals. Now, what is an even signal? So, in these simple words, we can say the symmetric signals are even signals. That is, an even signal is identical with its reflection. So you can also see from this graph, the waveform which is shown here, you can see that this signal is symmetrical about y-axis. That is, the positive part which is shown here, it is symmetric to the negative part. So that is what the even signals are all about. The even signals are symmetrical about y-axis, and mathematically they are represented by the expression xt equals to x of minus t, or in the discrete time domain they are represented by xn equals to x of minus n. So just by looking at the waveform, you can say that whether the given signal is an even signal or an odd signal. So next thing is the odd signal. So what is an odd signal? So just opposite to the what we had discussed in for even signal, an odd signal will be anti-symmetric about the y-axis. Xt will be equal to minus of x of minus t. That is, this signal is anti-symmetric. The image which is it's forming about the y-axis, the mirror image, it is anti-symmetric. So you can also see from the given waveform that the positive part in this waveform is anti-symmetric of the negative part of this waveform. So this is the basic difference between the even signal and odd signals. Now here are some of the properties of the even and odd signals. So if you have two different signals, one is even, the other one is odd, and you multiply them, you will get an odd signal. Similarly, if the two signals are odd signal, the product will be an even signal, and for the even signals the product will be an even signal. Next property is the related with the derivative of the even signal. So the derivative of one type of the signal will give you the another signal. That means if the signal is even signal, its derivative will give you the odd signal, and if the signal is odd signal, its derivative will give you the even signal. So this is all about the properties. Now even and odd components of a signal. So if a normal signal is given, xt is given, we can evaluate the even and odd components in it. So the even part of a signal xet can be evaluated as xt plus x of minus t divided by 2, whereas the odd part of the signal can be evaluated as x naught t equals to xt minus x of minus t divided by 2. So when you will be given a problem and in that problem suppose a signal is given which is xt, so first you just obtain the signal by replacing t with minus t. So when you have xt and x minus t, then you can separately evaluate the different even and odd components which are present in the signal. Now we'll look at one problem based on the even and odd components of the signal. Now this signal is given xt equals to e raised to the power minus 2t cos t. Now the question is, you have to find the even and odd components for it. So in the very first step, you have to replace t with minus t. So you replace t by minus t, you get x of minus t equals to e raised to the power 2t cos minus t, which simplifies to e raised to the power 2t cos t, because cos is an even function, so cos of minus t will become cos t. Now you apply the relation of calculating the even and the odd components. So x et will be equal to 1 by 2 xt plus x of minus t. So that will be equal to e raised to the power minus 2t cos t plus e raised to the power 2t cos t divided by 2. So again, if you just take common cos t outside, so inside the brackets we will have e raised to the power minus 2t plus e raised to the power 2t divided by 2. So that can be reduced to cos of hyperbolic 2t. So this is an hyperbolic function. I hope you know about this. And similarly, x naught can be calculated as half of xt minus x of minus t divided by 2. So that will be reduced to minus cos t sine hyperbolic 2t. So this e raised to the power minus 2t minus e raised to the power 2t divided by 2, that is actually sine hyperbolic function, similar to the cos hyperbolic. This is sine hyperbolic function. So the even and odd components can be evaluated as given in this problem. So similarly, we can solve some other problems as well. Now I hope that you go through this lecture and try to solve some problem on your own. Try to solve some problems related to energy and power signal. Then try to solve some more problems on the periodic and aperiodic signal, even and odd signal. So now we have finished with the different types of the signal, all the 4 types of the signal which we had discussed: the continuous time and discrete time, even and odd, periodic and aperiodic, and energy and power signals. So all these 4 types of signals which we had discussed, and in addition to it, unit step, unit ramp and unit impulse functions have also been discussed. So you go through all these, try to solve the problems, and in case you have any doubt in it, then you may ask me over email. Okay, so this is all about in this second lecture. Now in the next lecture we will see some more properties of the signals, and to be specific, we'll have some different operations which are performed on the different signals, like shifting operation, scaling operation. All these things will be discussed in the next lecture. So that is all for today. Thank you.